Deep in the French countryside lived a rat named Remy. He wasn't like the other rats. He hated eating garbage. He liked to eat fancy food like cheese and mushrooms instead. Remy enjoyed sneaking into the kitchen of the cottage where the rats lived. There, he would watch a chef named Gusteau on TV. Gusteau liked to say that anyone could cook. So Remy decided to learn how. He even read Gusteau's cookbook. One day, Remy was in the kitchen looking for a spice for a dish he was making. The old woman who lived in the cottage had fallen asleep, but the TV was on. A reporter was saying that Gusteau had died. Remy was so shocked that he didn't realize the old woman had woken up. The woman chased Remy around the room. She made such a mess that part of the ceiling came crashing down, along with the rats who lived in the attic. The rats had to escape. They ran toward the river, but Remy stopped. He didn't want to leave without the cookbook. By the time Remy ran back for the book and got to the river, the other rats were already floating away. Remy didn't know if he could catch up. He threw the book into the water and hopped on top of it. "Come on, son," called Django, Remy's father. "You can make it." But the water moved too fast, and Remy got separated from his family. He went over a waterfall, and when he landed, he found himself in a sewer. He was all alone, and he'd lost everything except the cookbook. He pulled it out of the water and opened the pages to dry it out. All of a sudden, a picture of Gusteau seemed to come to life. "Go up and look around," he suggested. So Remy did. Remy climbed through the walls and pipes and eventually ended up on a rooftop. He realized he was in Paris, and only a couple of blocks away was Gusteau's restaurant. Gusteau appeared again, and he and Remy peered down into the restaurant from a skylight. Remy was thrilled to see a real restaurant kitchen. Then he saw a garbage boy named Linguini knock over a pot of soup. The boy added the ingredients so that no one would notice, but he didn't know what he was doing. "He's ruining the soup," Remy cried. Just then, the skylight window opened, and he fell through, down into the kitchen. Remy scrambled around, trying to escape. On the way to an open window, he passed the soup. It smelled disgusting. "What are you waiting for?" Gusteau asked Remy. "You know how to fix it." Remy realized that Gusteau was right. He grabbed some spices, climbed up to the brim of the pot, and began to cook. When he turned around, the garbage boy was staring at him. Remy began to run away, but the boy trapped him underneath the coriander. Skinner, the head chef, had just appeared. "How dare you cook in my kitchen?" he thundered at the boy. While the chef yelled, a waiter took a bowl of the soup into the dining room. When he returned, he had good news. A critic had tasted the soup and loved it. Remy was thrilled, but he had to get out of there. He moved toward the window, but the chef saw him. He ordered Linguini to get rid of the rat. Linguini didn't have the heart to hurt Remy, though. Skinner had told Linguini that he'd be fired if he didn't make the soup again. Linguini knew he would lose his job. He told Remy all of this. Then he realized the rat understood him. "You can cook, right?" Linguini asked. Remy nodded. Linguini asked Remy to help him. Remy realized Linguini needed him. Together, they came up with a system. Remy pulled Linguini's hair to tell him what to do. At the restaurant, Remy hid under Linguini's chef hat so no one would find out about him. They were a great cooking team, and the customers loved everything Remy and Linguini made. One night, outside the restaurant, Remy ran into his brother, Emile. Remy was thrilled. He hadn't thought he'd ever see his family again. Emile brought him to the sewer, where their dad and the other rats had made their home. All of the other rats were excited to see Remy and threw him a party. As much as Remy loved his family and friends, he also loved being a chef. His father tried to explain that humans were dangerous and that they would always see him as a rat. But Remy thought he could change things. After all, he and Linguini were good friends. He decided to go back to the restaurant. A couple of days later, Linguini found out that Cousteau was his father and had left the restaurant to him. Now Linguini was in charge. Over the next few weeks, the restaurant became more and more popular. One night, some reporters showed up, and Linguini seemed more interested in speaking with them than cooking. He took credit for the dishes he and Remy had made. Remy was furious. Then, a tough food critic named Ego showed up and challenged Linguini to cook for him. When Remy and Linguini returned to the kitchen, Remy pulled Linguini's hair to show him how angry he was. Linguini took Remy to the alley and yelled at him. "You take a break, little chef. I'm not your puppet." Then he went inside. Remy decided that his family and friends had been right. To humans, even Linguini, he'd always be a rat. Remy was so angry he brought the rats to the restaurant that night to take some food. Just then, Linguini walked into the kitchen and started to apologize to Remy. But when he saw all the rats stealing food, he got mad. "I thought you were my friend," he cried. "Get out!" But Remy knew his friend needed his help to cook the big meal for Ego. He also knew that he didn't want to live a lie anymore. The next day, he walked into the kitchen without hiding. The other chefs saw him. "Rat!" they shrieked. "Don't touch him," Linguini cried. "This rat, he's the cook." The other chefs looked at Linguini in shock. Then Remy hopped up onto Linguini's head and began tugging his hair to show the other chefs how he got Linguini to chop and stir. The chefs were shocked and disgusted. None of them wanted to work with a rat. They all quit. Without any help, Linguini didn't see how he was going to be able to keep the restaurant open and serve Ego. Luckily, the rat saw what Remy had done and knew how much he wanted to be a chef. They washed themselves off and began to help him cook. I'm proud of you, Django told his son. The rats did everything Remy told them. Together, they cooked a special dish called Ratatouille. Eagle loved it and asked to meet the chef. When the critic realized Remy had cooked the meal, he left. But the next morning, the review in the newspaper said Remy was the best chef in Paris, without revealing he was a rat. Gusteau had always said, anyone can cook, and Remy had proven him right. So what did Remy do next? He and Linguini opened a new restaurant named La Ratatouille. There, the rats had their very own place to eat. Linguini was the maitre d'. He liked it much better than cooking. And Remy was a real chef at last. The end.